Aladdin and the Magic Lamp. In the golden city of Agrabah, life was a constant race for survival. For Aladdin, every day was a puzzle of crowded streets and narrow escapes. He lived on the edges of a world that didn't want him, yet he looked at the distant palace with a spark of hope, wondering if there was more to his story than stolen bread. The market was a sea of colors and voices, but one person stood out by standing still. A girl in a simple cloak was staring at the world with wide, hungry eyes, as if seeing it for the first time. When she reached for a piece of fruit without paying, Aladdin realized she wasn't a thief. She was just lost. Safe from the guards, they shared a moment of quiet above the noise of the city. Jasmine spoke of a life behind tall walls, of rules that felt like chains. Aladdin realized that even in a palace, you could feel like a prisoner. For one evening, they weren't a thief and a princess. They were just two souls seeking a way out. The mysterious man promised Aladdin a way to change his life forever. All he had to do was enter the Cave of Wonders and retrieve a forgotten lamp. Driven by the hope of becoming someone worthy of Jasmine, Aladdin agreed to the dangerous task. He didn't realize that some treasures come with a heavy price. The desert sands shifted to reveal a mouth of stone and shadow. The Cave of Wonders breathed a cold, ancient air that chilled Aladdin to the bone. He stepped inside, guided by the faint glow of his lantern, while the golden treasures of 1,000 years began to glitter in the darkness around him. Deep within the cave, sitting atop a lonely pillar, was the prize. It wasn't made of gold or encrusted with diamonds. It was a simple, dusty lamp that looked like it belonged in a kitchen, not a treasury. As Aladdin's fingers touched the cold metal, the entire cave began to tremble with a low, rhythmic heartbeat. Dust filled the air as the entrance vanished behind a wall of rock. Trapped in the dark, Aladdin looked at the old lamp, the only thing he had left. He began to wipe away the grime, hoping to find a mark or a clue. Suddenly, the bronze metal grew warm beneath his palm, and a soft golden light began to leak from the spout. Instead of a monster, a man made of light and smoke appeared. He didn't look like a king. He looked like a weary traveler who had finally found home. The genie stretched his glowing arms and looked at Aladdin with kind, tired eyes. For the first time in centuries, someone had called him out not to command, but by mistake. The genie's magic wasn't just about gold. It was about possibilities. Standing under the vast desert sky, Aladdin realized that the lamp could give him the life he had always dreamed of. He could be a prince. He could walk into the palace and speak to Jasmine without fear. But as he looked at the genie, he saw a friend, not just a tool. With a snap of the genie's fingers, the street rat was gone. Aladdin looked at his reflection in a polished shield, hardly recognizing the young man in white silk. He looked like a prince. He moved like a prince. But his heart still raced with the same old fear. He wasn't just changing his clothes, he was changing his destiny. The arrival of Prince Ali was a spectacle of music and color that captured the whole city's attention. From her balcony, Jasmine watched the parade with a heavy sigh. She had seen 100 princes before, all of them arrogant and dull. She didn't realize that the nervous young man looking up at her was the boy from the market. Aladdin knew he couldn't win her heart with a parade. He found Jasmine in the quiet of the moonlit gardens, away from the guards and the noise. He didn't speak like a prince. He spoke with the same honesty he had on the rooftops. Slowly, the walls she had built around herself began to crumble in the cool night air. Aladdin offered Jasmine a choice she had never been given, a chance to see the world without guards or walls. With a nervous smile, he stepped onto the magic carpet and reached out his hand. For the first time in her life, Jasmine didn't just want to watch the horizon. She wanted to touch it. They flew over silver rivers and sleeping villages, the world feeling vast and beautiful beneath them. In the quiet of the sky, Aladdin felt the weight of his secret getting heavier. He loved the way she looked at the world, but he feared she only loved the prince he was pretending to be. While Aladdin was lost in the stars, Jafar was searching the shadows. He knew the boy had survived the cave, and he knew the lamp was within his reach. Jafar didn't need magic to be dangerous. He only needed a moment of weakness. He watched the return of the prince with a cold, knowing smile. The magic began to unravel when Aladdin least expected it. Jafar's shadow fell over him, cold and suffocating. In a flash of steel and betrayal, the lamp was gone, taken by the one man who knew how to use its power for ruin. Aladdin realized too late that a prince without a crown was just a boy with a secret. The genie didn't want to serve a master of shadows, but the rules of the lamp were absolute. Jafar's first wish shook the very foundations of the city. As the sky turned a deep, bruised purple, the palace transformed into a monument of fear. The magic that once felt like a dream was now a waking nightmare for everyone in Agrabah. Without the silk and the titles, Aladdin was just a boy from the streets again. But as he looked at Jasmine, he realized he didn't need a wish to be brave. He used the only thing Jafar didn't have, his wit. He challenged the sorcerer's pride, leading him toward a trap that only a man blinded by power would fall for.
It shall be mine.
Aladdin knew that greed was Jafar's greatest weakness. By tricking him into wishing for the ultimate power of a genie, Aladdin ensured the villain's own trap. As the bronze lamp began to glow with a terrifying intensity, it didn't give Jafar freedom, it gave him a prison. The dark sorcerer was consumed by the very magic he sought to control. With his last wish, Aladdin didn't choose a crown or gold. He chose a friend. He wished for the genie's freedom. As the magical shackles vanished, the world felt lighter. Aladdin realized that being true to himself was the greatest magic of all. He wasn't a prince by birth, but he had finally found a place where he truly belonged. The walls of the palace didn't feel like a prison anymore, because the doors were finally open. Aladdin and Jasmine worked together to build a city where no one was forgotten. As the stars began to twinkle over the desert sands, they knew their story was just beginning. A story not of magic lamps, but of a promise kept.